and welcome to my podcast, the eReads Podcast, where I talk with friends, writers, creatives about wellness and creativity. And today I cannot wait for you to meet MJ Soni. She just released a book, and I'm super excited to learn more. So, as we're chatting, please drop in the comments if you have questions or thoughts or reflections. But before we dive into our conversation about adversity and how creativity can help us, one, process that, but also help others, I have one announcement. On August 29th, I am doing a free live workshop here on Substack, and it is on doing book signings and book events on a budget. So often I get asked, how do you do book events? How do you do book signings? Well, let's join together for about an hour, hour and a half to discuss how you can prepare for 2027. And that's all I have for y'all. So, MJ Soni, welcome, and how are you doing?
I am very good, Liz. Thank you so much for having me. It's a lot of fun
Absolutely.
to be talking to you, and I totally agree with your announcement, because I think the whole marketing and events thing can be like a black hole for money. You can put a lot of money into it and not always achieve what you want to. So I'm discovering that with my debut.
I was gonna say, with you having a debut and doing lots of events, I know that it can be very daunting. But please introduce yourself and your debut novel so we can get chatting. And I think I'll dive into book signings with you first.
Okay, so this is my book. It's called the Masala Chai Mystery Club. And excuse me, it's about a librarian who's been pushed into early retirement. She's an Indian American woman. And she and her chai loving neighbors get together to solve the murder of their very despised Homeowners Association president. And his death resembles that in their latest book club read, which is Agatha Christie's Dumb Witness. So it's a light-hearted read, great for summer, and it's great for fans of the Thursday Murder Club, and also for murders in the what is it? The murders in the building. All murder. Oh, gosh, I'm having
Oh,
a
they
moment.
sound, yeah, but
But
they sound
it's
good. And listen, like y'all, I got to read an advanced copy, and it really is fun and lighthearted. Yet you do tackle some themes of like racism, bias, as well as family dynamics, which I really appreciated in your novel.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think you can't get away. As a person of color, you're always encountering some sort of microaggressions and things like that. And I didn't want to make it so bland that there's no such thing, because almost in everyday life we do encounter that. So I wanted my because
Hmm.
people judge Niti. She likes to wear her sari. She's traditional in that way, and she wants to celebrate her culture. But people do talk to. I've had personal experiences where I
Mm.
remember wearing an Indian outfit and going into a shop, and someone said to me, "So, do you make chapatis like for sale? Can I order chapatis from you?" And I'm like, "No."
Oh,
I Yeah, so it happens, and people kind of form these stereotypes when they see a person wearing a sari or things like that. Yeah. So I didn't want to take it
yeah.
out, but I also didn't want to make it the center of the story. The story is still a mystery, and it's a good fun read.
No, absolutely. And like the example that you just gave, like it shows up in the book of just like the same way people have everyday experiences, she does. And sometimes it is colored with this bias. And I think that is really real and relatable of like, as you are going through your everyday life, you are encountered with these microaggressions. And again, I think you did it in a way that isn't like overt where it's beating over people's head, but it really does give people a lens of like, yeah, like, well, this isn't part of your day, it is part of your peers' day. And to be aware of how you may be coming off or to pay attention when you're with peers about what that looks like.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I think, Niti is a woman in her 60s. So that's, firstly, she's a woman. Secondly, she's in her 60s. And thirdly, she's
Hmm.
an Indian American woman who wears a traditional outfit. And so all those things can form stereotypes in various people's minds. And she's educated, and yet, people may think she's like fresh off the boat. So, especially the chief of
Absolutely.
police, the chief of police is classical. I think in any cozy, this is why you get amateur sleuths taking over in any cozy, because usually the police are not interested in solving the case.
Absolutely, but she navigates that so well.
Right.
She has this wit and this humor, and what I really loved is she is an older character, right? She's in retirement or forced into retirement, but she has this spice. And I think, especially
Yes.
with older women, it's like, oh, they are reclused and they just want to take care of their grandkids. But no, she still has all this life in her, which I appreciate.
Yeah, no, absolutely. She's at a loss because she's always been a librarian. Like so many of us, we kind of identified through our work, right? It's so much part of us that's part of our who we are. And then suddenly, when the work is taken away, I mean, I think even younger people go through this when you get laid off, or there's
Hmm.
job cuts or whatever. So I think it's yeah, that's still there's still what next, is where she's at, and so that's where she gets involved in the murder with her friends.
And she does it like again, she is very ferocious. Like you are not gonna push Needy around. Like she's definitely gonna fight for what she believes is right. And I love that about her. Because again, like sometimes when you're reading women characters, they can be soft to the point of they're being pushed over or they have to be a bully to be heard. But Needy just reminded me of like the women I grew up around. And it was really nice seeing that, especially her relationship with her niece, right? Like being able to show that relationship. Again, sometimes you see like a mother figure and a daughter figure at war, but they had a really great relationship, even when they had miscommunication. The way you navigated that was very similar. I felt for the first time, like, oh, I see a relationship that it mirrors me and my mom, which again, I really enjoyed.
Oh, that's lovely. Yeah, I mean, I think she's a mentor to a lot of younger women, and even the young police officer Megan. She wants them to do well. She wants them to succeed, and I think she's just got the enough experience to be able to be that mentor. So I think, yeah, that's what I wanted to project with her. She's got a very kind side, but she's also then got a very determined and um like focused side to solve the murder. She can rally the
Absolutely.
troops, kind of thing. She can rally this unruly crowd of this mystery club. So yes.
And they are unruly, but again, she corrals them and they have their moments. It really is a great lighthearted read. And again, the characters stay with you. They're quirky and fun. And I'm curious, how has your past kind of colored these characters? I believe you mentioned that you have grown up through the apartheid in South Africa. If you can share a little bit about that journey, and for those who may not don't know, like what is apartheid?
So my grandparents moved from India to South Africa. And I think my grandfather at that time must have thought, well, South Africa and India were both British colonies, and how different could they be? But when India was becoming
Hmm.
independent of the British Raj, South Africa was going into its darkest period, which was apartheid, which was a system of legalized racism. So basically, only white people were allowed to vote. The entire population had to be categorized into one of four um, race groups, basically. So there were African people, excuse me, and then there were people of mixed race who the South African government called colored, and then there were Indian people of Indian origin because they were brought there as indentured laborers to work on the sugarcane fields and agriculture. And then there were white descendants of the white settlers, and so these four race groups, but none of the groups of color were allowed to vote, and everything was kind of staggered. So education, resources, housing, everything was staggered according to race.
Hmm.
So I grew up under that system, and one of my characters in the book, Tandy, is from there. She's a South African. She's an African woman from a South African American, and she's very classical of some of the women I encountered there as well. But the main character, Niti, is very much like my mom, who my mom wore sari all her life, but she was never allowed an education. As a young woman, she wasn't allowed to
Mm.
be educated. And so I decided, okay, I'll base on my mom, but I'll give her an education. And so, yeah, I think a lot of my background does find its way into the book and the characters as well. And there's an incident with a goat, which I don't want to give spoilers away, but that incident definitely happened in South Africa. So there's um there's definite throwbacks to my growing up there.
I love that, and I love that we as readers get to be kind of close to you, right? We get to have a
Mhm.
little bit of your memories and your experiences through this fictional, lens, right? I think we talk a lot about that with like memoir and nonfiction of getting to know the author, but I think this does a really great job of showing how you can use fiction to show a little bit of your experiences.
Right. Now, I think it was Emily Dickinson, and I don't remember the exact quote, but basically, the fiction is the only way we can get into the mind of somebody else. And there's no other way. It's true. Like, and if it's fiction that's well written, that really draws you into the characters, then you really do experience what they have experienced to some extent, and a lot of it is what that author went through. So, yeah, it's an interesting way of connecting with people.
Absolutely, and again, like, getting a lens into cultures that you don't get to have an experience with, seeing the importance of the sorry, seeing those
Yeah.
cultural nuances, I think it was great getting to step into your world and learning that, and from a writer perspective, I'm curious, like, how did you balance showing, again, like, your history, showing your experiences with the story? Was it hard finding that balance? What was it like crafting the story for you?
Initially, it was difficult because I kept veering towards my mom and her experiences. But then I realized, no, this is not exactly my mom. She's a character. And so I started giving her her own life and her own background. And so it became a little
Mm.
easier from that perspective. It wasn't, so it took a while for me to step back enough to see her not as my mom, but as a character. And then, yeah, the mystery was hard. I think plotting a mystery and making it all work, that is the hardest part to me. For me, it's like, oh gosh, it's like creating a Rubik's cube, but from scratch. And I find it very difficult,
Yes.
and it requires a lot of trickery on the part of the author, which is sometimes it's hard to disconnect enough to see what the reader may see, and so it's just, yeah, that part to me is the hardest to do.
Absolutely, because sometimes, like, when you're writing, it may not feel like a twist to you, but, like, for the reader, like, they don't have the rest of the story in their head, and sometimes I have to remember that of, like, "Oh, they do like, this is a twist." They don't know what's gonna happen at the end of the book or 5 books from
Right.
now, so, like, yeah, you have to step outside of yourself, and that can be very hard.
Yeah, yeah. And then you got to like scatter clues all along. And so some of that has to be done afterwards. You can't do everything.
Yes.
Maybe it comes with practice. So hopefully I will get better at this as I as I write more books.
Absolutely, but, like, I love the tip 1 of because sometimes we base our characters off of people in our lives or even our own lives, and we can so close, but I love how you said you separated by giving the character their own kind of, like, additional story. I think that can help to be
Right.
objective, and also the objectivity of, like, you gotta finish that first draft so you could go back and plug in things. Sometimes you have to see the whole scope so that you can plug things in and play. I so resonate with that.
Yeah, I struggle with that though because I don't. Some of my friends love rewriting and I don't. Once I'm done with it, I'm like, this is it, I'm done. But no, I need to go back and go back again and again. And so actually, my agent made me rewrite it a few times because I had so many points of view characters, and she's like, "That's not going to work. You need to choose one." And so I had to each rewrite got rid of another character and or point of view rather, and then my editor had some changes as well. So it was a lot of rewriting. But I think every rewrite made it better. It was definitely so much better
Mm,
because then it was more focused. It was more like right on like Niti was the center of it, and then the story kind of fitted into place, like everything fell into place. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely, and I don't get many folks on that have, like, an agent and a publisher. Many of the folks I talk to are indie, so can you share a little bit about, like, what was that journey like? Was it hard doing these rewrites and having so many opinions, did you really appreciate their perspective on the writing journey? What was that like for you?
Yeah, I mean, so my first book, which was nonfiction about the youth movement against apartheid, because I was a youth activist in that time, that was
Oh, I didn't know
actually,
that.
yeah, I couldn't find a home for it. Like I sent it. It was I wrote it as a book, so it was like for an Amazon Kindle single. And at that time, Amazon Kindle singles in the US was publishing a lot of like nonfiction from people outside of like the more traditionally published world.
Okay.
But they didn't, they rejected it. And it was just, I was definitely going the indie route with that. And then I contacted a publicist in the UK. And he's like, oh, I know the Amazon Kindle editor in the UK. And so I was lucky that got published through the UK Amazon Kindle singles.
Oh,
um,
nice.
but I did a lot of work about publishing as an indie author, and I think what I learned was to have absolutely the best manuscript you can have. And
Mm.
I did get another editor involved, and they gave me a very good feedback and all of that. So by the time I actually sent it to that publicist who sent it to the editor that he knew, I think it was in a very good form. And then there were very few rewrites. There was one major rewrite with that editor, and that was it. But I did publish the paperback myself. So I have some experience, but like, as you know, Liz, it's not an easy route, but I think it's very
Mhm.
satisfying. Yeah, it's sort of satisfying to get a book out there and have it read by people, and just get moving in one's career in a way, because we all have so many stories to tell.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like 1000%. We all have a lot of stories to tell. And like, no matter what your path, right? Hybrid, indie, or traditional,
Yeah.
like get your story out there. But I love that, again, like you're able to explore so many different options. Like I didn't, realize that I can go and just say pitch to an agent. Again, I thought like you needed like an MFA and all these different things. So like it's been a
Right.
great journey learning, like, like no, like all these paths are accessible.
Yeah, and I think every agent is looking for the next breakout novel, right? But the one thing I did learn was, so this particular agent who accepted this publication of mine had rejected me 3 times before. But then I realized afterwards
Really?
that, yeah, but it just shows how stubborn I am, right? But it's like I'm never giving up on this. But I think I was submitting psychological suspense and domestic suspense to her, and I wasn't really
Okay.
the subgenre that she wanted to publish or she liked to read. And I think the one big learning for me was to go and look at not so much their website, because almost all agents will say we're interested in mystery and thriller, but excuse me,
Yep.
to go and actually look at. So what I would do is go to Google Books and search for their name, and in the acknowledgements section of various
Oh, that's
books.
smart.
Yeah, and then you can see really like what kind of books they really like and want to publish. And clearly this particular book fell into that category that she was keen to publish. But I think that was an important learning, because I was submitting and getting so many rejections, partly because I wasn't looking at the sub and even the sub genre. Because like even within the mystery thriller, there's then the mystery, then there's the
Mhm.
cozy mystery. And sometimes, I don't know, there's like so many divisions now, but you got to really look at what do they
Yeah,
like. Yeah.
absolutely. Like that's super helpful feedback because again, I know folks that are trying to go through that process and like thinking about, do you know your genre? Do you know your story? Really important. And in thinking, going back to like the book events and book signings, like how has that been? So you have your debut, you're going out. I'm going to see you at RJ Julia
Oh,
this
Emma,
week. I will be there.
lovely. Thank
Yes,
you. It's going to be fun.
absolutely. It's going to be so fun. And so, like, how has it been? And like, I've seen you, like, you've been out this week, you've been all over. Like, how has it been debuting your story?
Well, I to be honest, I only have 5 actual physical in-person events. So that's not huge. You know, a lot of other authors I know have been to 15 or 20 even. So I
Oh,
arranged
wow.
5, and all 4 of them are in Connecticut, one is in Rhode Island. And so but I think with the RJ Julia one, I particularly pitched it as like chai and saris. And, you know, I took elements out of the book that I felt would be interesting to other people. And so my plan is, and I'd love to hear feedback from you on the day. My plan would be to like, let's see what we can do in terms of like just expanding people's idea of what a mystery is, and the, why have I
Mm.
chosen a protagonist who wears a sari and things like that. So I think what I've also learned with the events is to have a kind of hook that is interesting to a number of people, and it's something they haven't entirely encountered or are familiar with, and that is intriguing for some people. So yeah, that's what I've been trying to do, is make it a little, but it's it's a struggle to get people to come out, especially in the summer. The weather's so good. I don't, you know, it's
Absolutely, but no, but I was just gonna say, I love what you said about a hook because, like, often, like, we can get just so like, oh, let me just have a book signing, but you
yeah,
really gave us something that can, like, we can connect and immerse ourselves in the world, right?
yeah,
Like, we can get to learn about Sorry, and I think you're showing us how to like rap or like kind of like how do you adorn ourselves, and so like being able to immerse ourselves in the world I think helps us to, as readers to connect. And so like that's really exciting. Even you have recipes in your book and
I do.
which I as a foodie loved. How was that? Was it hard crafting the recipes? Are these long-term family recipes? Can you share a little bit about that?
Well, to be honest, I didn't initially even think about including rapid recipes. It wasn't my idea, but my the publisher suggested, Crooked Lane suggested, well, why don't you include recipes? And a lot of cozy authors do include recipes. So I have 3 recipes. The first is a masala chai powder recipe. And then the second is using masala chai powder in shortbread. And then the third is aloo tikki, which is like a potato croquette. And they're derived from my mother's recipes. I won't say that the masala chai is directly her recipe because hers is very strong. Her masala chai powder really catches on the throat, and you feel it's almost a little like wasabi sometimes. It's really
Ooh,
strong.
nice.
No, but mine is a bit much tamer, much easier to drink powder. And then I use the same powder in a regular shortbread recipe, which just gives it that little kick. That was my recipe, really. And then the aloo tikki is a standard Gujarati recipe. A lot of people make it, and it's just so easy to whip up, and it's tasteful, and yeah. So I did have to measure everything out because normally I'm one of those like a pinch of this and,
Yes.
and a fistful of this. So yes, I had to measure and become America's test kitchen. And so it was fun, but it's not something I want to do all the time. I can't be that exact, you know. So my
I feel
disclaimer,
you. Listen, I feel you.
I have a disclaimer. I can't take responsibility for anything that is made with my recipes.
Well, I will tell you, I have done the powder for the tea as well as
Okay.
the shortbreads, and
Oh, thank
I
you.
loved it. Yes, I've also put the powder, the tea form in smoothies. Highly recommend it.
Oh,
Yes, like a nice like banana, pineapple, mango, like, and then you
nice.
th- fantastic.
Oh, that sounds interesting. I will try that out. Thank you. Oh, I'm so
Yeah,
happy
yes.
that I love that because that's what recipes are for, really. You know, then it
Mhm.
like people have to adapt them to suit their own, you know, their own requirements or needs. And yeah, I love that. I will try that.
Absolutely, absolutely. MJ Soni, like, thank you so much for stopping by. Again, I loved your story. I loved how determined and needy was, and I'm curious. Even in your publishing journey, like you talk about continuing to keep going, even in spite of rejection. for folks who may be struggling, like maybe they're feeling defeated, maybe they're feeling like giving up, right? Like what can they do to get that sense of fire back to keep going? What would you tell them?
You know what I did was I compiled a list of of articles about people, famous authors who were rejected, and
Mm,
a lot of authors have put those up, out there saying how terrible uh, some feedback that they got was or whatever. And I keep thinking to myself, and it's just something that everybody has to go through. And I think in a publishing industry like ours, it's people of color also
mm-hmm,
struggle a little bit more because it's not something
mm-hmm,
that is natural for them. And so I want to
mm-hmm.
I think you have to just keep trying firstly, but not be wedded to one thing. You have to keep trying
Mm.
different things, and that's what I feel like. This cozy was very different to what I've written before. So that, I mean, yeah, you know there was one thing an editor told me many years ago. She says, I read a lot of short stories and submissions. And when I reject a man, they usually within a day or two send me another email saying, hey, I have this story if you're interested. And she says, when I reject a woman, I never see them again. So I think a lot of women,
Interesting.
yeah, and I took that to heart. A lot of women take it very personally, like rejection is very personal to them, but it really shouldn't be because it's subjective, and if one person doesn't like it, doesn't mean your work is bad. It means that it didn't connect with them, but it might connect with the next person.
I love that. And even just the tidbit of, I never would have thought to say, well, oh, what if, like, pitch another story? I would have taken it like, oh, you've rejected me, so you don't want anything I have to offer.
Exactly. And I think that's what we do, right? It's just natural human instincts to do that. But we shouldn't because it is very subjective, right? I mean, even um,
Mm-hmm.
most famous authors have been rejected, like even Stephen King. Like his first book wasn't
Mm-hmm.
his very first book that he submitted. So I think, yes, I think we have to. And even if you look at every famous author's bibliography, there's some books that have done well and others that haven't done well. So you just have to get your word out there. I feel like we need so many more stories from so many more different people. And if people give up too easily,
Yes.
we won't get those stories out. So we need
Mm.
everyone's stories.
Yeah, and I think that's a great reminder of like not to give up so easily. And I know like it can feel very defeating and exhausting, but rest rather than quit. And I think that's a great
Yes.
reminder of like don't be so easy to give up.
Yes, exactly. Rest rather than quit. And as Beyonce said, I'm a big fan of Beyonce. And she says, winners never quit on themselves. So
Come on.
I just love her. I love her lyrics. And like, yeah, winners don't quit on themselves.
Come on, absolutely. Please share where can we buy your book? Any upcoming signings that we should look out for? Please tell us how we stay connected with you.
Okay, so my book is available now at most bookstores. Well, all of the big bookstores as well as online. The audiobook is also available now, and you can get links from my website, which is mjsoniauthor.com. And in terms of actual events, I have two events left now. One is at RJ Julia in Middletown this Wednesday at 6 p.m. And the other is on Sunday at Barnes and Noble in Warwick, and that's 2 to 4 p.m. So I would love to see everybody there. Anyone who is interested, please come. It'll be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. I know I will be there at RJ Julia. I think I'm going to have to get the audiobook. I have my advanced copy, which I love, but like, I think I might need to get this audiobook. I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, I've been told yesterday someone said to me that the audiobook narrator is really good. She comes across really
I'm
well.
excited.
So I'm very happy for that. Yes, I'm looking forward to listening to the whole book again, but in someone else's
Absolutely.
voice.
So proud. Yeah, 1000. Let me tell you, when you get to hear your words in someone else's voice, it
Yeah.
is so exciting and empowering, especially when you hear like they pick up on the nuance and the emotion. Like it really is exciting.
Yes. Yes.
Well, listen, I am so proud of you and so excited for what's next. Is there a book too? Anything you could share about future works that you can let us know?
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's nothing I can share officially, but yeah, I'm continuing writing. I think it'll be these are characters that are not going to leave me quickly, so I have to get more stories about them down. So I'm working on that. Um, but
Well, I
yeah,
love that they're staying with you like they're staying with us because truly they are really a fun bunch.
yes, thank you. I really appreciate that.
Awesome. Listen, I will let you go. Viewers, have a great rest of your day and we'll see you next time.
thank,
Bye.
thank you, Liz. Bye.